What is going on, everybody? This is Josh Taylor on the Josh Taylor CFB YouTube channel, here to break down one of the more interesting and hardest prospects at quarterback in the 2022 NFL Draft, and that is the 6'1", 215-pound quarterback out of Liberty University, Malik Willis. Now, with Malik Willis, it kind of reminds me of a certain guy last year out of North Dakota State. That's Trey Lance. A lot of unknowns, playing at a smaller school, even though, Liberty's in the FBS now, even though, they're independent. They still play a couple good teams a year, but still have a couple duds along the way. It's been really hard to really watch the tapes and, see the good and see the bad and put together a full product of what to expect out of Malik Willis at the next level. So I have my write-up done. As always, I'm going to put that link in the description here to check out my write-up for Malik Willis on my website. Highly recommend that. But like I said, we have a couple things we need to look at for Malik Willis. There's a lot of good and a lot of raw tools that scouts are going to be drooling over and just love to see at the next level. But there's also a lot of bad things that Malik Willis has done in his 2 years at Liberty that can, raise some eyebrows or raise some red flags and some concerns there for drafting Malik Willis, especially if it is in the first round or even the second round. You want your quarterback to pan out well at the next level. So, as always, you have to take a quarterback, see what you're getting out of him, see if it fits what you're doing on offense, and really mold around your quarterback and progress him. You want to develop him as the next big guy in the NFL. Something, we're seeing a lot of guys struggle with this first season. Trevor Lawrence had some good moments, but it just wasn't there. With Urban Meyer out, a lot of things going on in Jacksonville. They're trying to get everything in place. Then Zach Wilson, he had a couple bad moments, but then he looked really good in some instances too. And then Mac Jones being at a perfect situation with Bill Belichick in New England, coming up short, but still had a lot of good moments this year, and they're going to build around him, hopefully get him some weapons. But with Malik Willis, the thing that I really wanted to see was, these bad interception games. He had 3 interceptions 3 different times this season in 3 different games. So right then I said, okay, let's take a look at those interceptions and see what went wrong. So when I watched the tapes, I watched about 2 or 3 games from last year, and then I watched 3 games from this year, being the Middle Tennessee State game, the game, of course, against Ole Miss, and then the final game against Eastern Michigan in the bowl game. But I put together a couple tapes that we're going to look at here in a minute, showing the good and the bad. But let's just take a look back and a big glance of Malik Willis with his time at Liberty. So stats-wise, as you see here, in 2020, just remember, this was the COVID season, so they only played 10 games that year. They had a couple canceled, but it was still a really good season. They only lost 1 game. That was the NC State, which was a super close game. Their field goal got blocked late in the game. They beat Coastal Carolina, who was undefeated at the time. I think they're ranked like 12th or something like that. Shots up. But beat them in the bowl game, which was a crazy bowl game. But Malik Willis looked really good all season long. So 2020, he was 170 completions on 265 attempts. That's 64.2% completion percentage with 2,250 passing yards, 20 touchdowns, and 6 interceptions. But of course, when you're talking about Malik Willis, the thing that really interests you, and there's no doubt about it, he is the best runner in this game. It's what he does stats-wise on the ground. So 141 rushes for 944 yards is a 6.7 average with 14 touchdowns on the ground. So you have to think about the runners in the NFL right now, the Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen. They draw up some design runs for him as well. You see the tools that he has in the run game and how good it really is. And you think, what can we do with this in the NFL? Now, in 2021, Liberty as a whole team just took a step back, kind of regressed a little bit. I don't know exactly why I didn't break down, every single player that left and stuff like that, like I did with Sam Howell. But I just saw a lot of offensive line problems. I saw Malik Willis making a lot of bad decisions, and then also saw some bad defensive play from Liberty as well. But still, in 2021, Malik Willis, 207 completions on 339 attempts. So he had 3 more games than he did the year before. So, of course, he has more attempts. So it's a 61.1% completion percentage with 2,857 yards, 27 touchdowns, and, of course, 12 interceptions. And like I said, the 12 interceptions, when you have 3 games with 3 interceptions each, that's 9 right there. It's not looking good. So I'm going to show you those interceptions as well coming up in the film breakdown. But 197 rushes for 878 yards and 13 touchdowns. One of the more outstanding stats with Malik Willis is last season, he had 0.6 missed tackles per attempt, which is the highest among all players since 2014. That's running backs, wide receivers, quarterbacks. It does not matter. Second, with 0.48, was actually Sam Howell this season. So something else to keep a look on for Sam Howell. And third place was 2020 with Javonte Williams, who we know that he was a stud at North Carolina with Sam Howell back in 2020. How many tackles he broke? I mean, just in the game against Miami alone, who knows how many tackles that guy broke. So it just tells you how much that Malik Willis was running for his life, how much he had to make big plays happen, get out of sacks. That sack number, he was the most sacked quarterback in college football last season. And it's not surprising when you watch these tapes. So some of it is him holding onto the ball. But the thing I really think about is what can he look like on a consistent team, on a team full of NFL professionals? And I know you can play it the same way. What's he going to look like when he's going against a bunch of NFL guys? Because we saw how he looked against Ole Miss, UL Lafayette, Army. He looked good against Coastal last year, but still, you're looking at these teams that have really good talent that are going to the league. Like, we know who Ole Miss is. We know UL Lafayette is a really good team too, actually. So that's what I'm interested in. So that's really what I kind of wanted to look at. So when we're watching tapes, there's a couple things you need to take a look at, and that's the strengths and the weaknesses of Malik Willis. Let's start with the strengths. I put down that he has elite athleticism. And what I mean by that is the speed, it's the shiftiness, it's his, ability to stand up and take hits, just his ability to be a freak athlete. And you have to account for both sides of the offense for him, the running game and the passing game. So he has that rocket arm strength, which we'll see plenty of. That's something that jumps out right away is he can sling it as far as he needs to. Like I said, his run game has a twitch, a speed, and elusiveness. So he's not just a fast guy, but he also can make you miss. You'll see a stiff arm a bunch of times when you watch his tapes. The dude just gives it out for free like it's a coupon. It's filthy. It pops up a lot on the tapes, but he can also just plow you over at the goal line, the red zone. That's something I'm going to talk about. I love his red zone offense. So he's not just a one-dimensional runner either. He's a quick twitch. He can make you miss. You'll see some nasty jukes. But then also, if you get to him, he's going to run you over at the goal line if he has to. I said great contact balance. Once again, just when he takes a hit, very rarely does the first person actually get to him. Above average competitive toughness, it doesn't matter. Like I said, if they're down against Ole Miss, he's been sacked 7 times in the first half, and he has 3 interceptions. He's still going to come out in the next play, just completely forget about it, and not let an interception or mistake really take hold of his decision. Like, I know this is the exact play I should go to. My guy's kind of open. Should I risk another interception? He's just going to sling it. He's going to go for it. So I respect that he doesn't let mistakes take him over. People say all the time he's a good leader on the field. So that's something else I have also. He's a leader on and off the field. Also, Hugh Freeze's offense ran a lot of pre-snap communication stuff, a lot of pre-snap motion, stuff like that. And also the offense really let him go through his progressions. He's not getting just to his first read and second read, which a lot of guys in the draft are going to have to, work on. That's something I said that Sam Howell needs to work on is, getting to his second, third progression, maybe fourth in the NFL. I've seen plays where Malik Willis goes 1, 2, 3, 4, back to 1 to check it down, or it's 1, 2, 3, 4. It has a little bit of window and he launches it in there. So I think he does a really good job of going through those progressions. And like I said, just communicating on the offense. He's not going to have to work on that. Hugh Freeze, I'm so glad that he runs an offense like that because it helps Malik Willis out a lot. He's a smart guy, and being able to already do that, it's going to help him a ton when he's learning this new offense. And like I said, he's a leader on and off the field, so you definitely want that. And then a smooth throw motion and release. I love his stance. I love the flick of his wrist. There's a couple times you can tell his base isn't always consistent. So that's something to look at too. But when he is on, it is a beautiful motion. He throws it and releases it exactly where it needs to be. And like I said, that helps him out with his accuracy deep. That helps him out with his arm strength. So a lot of good things with Malik Willis, but of course there's some negatives that you really have to take a look at. So I said that he holds the ball too long. So that could be part of the sacks. That could be part of, him having to break tackles and show off that athleticism. There's a lot that goes into it. There's a couple plays where you're like, Malik, you got to throw that away. You can't expect to break 3 or 4 tackles every single play. You got to get rid of the ball. You've got to play smart this play. So once again, he plays hero ball too often. He tries to make the big play over the smart play. So there's a couple interceptions. There's one against Ole Miss where you can just tell he thinks he has something. Like he wants that big play. They're down 17-0. He wants to go deep. He wants to score on these guys. And it just wasn't the right play. He tried to force too much, tried to be over aggressive. Ended up biting him. But it can also be a good thing too, because he's not afraid to launch it deep. But you've got to know when, and you've got to make the right read. You've got to hit it exactly where it needs to be. So there's inconsistency. So there's really good part of his accuracy and his decision making. But there's also the inconsistencies to say it might be a problem at the next level. Just something to keep an eye on. I said that he could be inaccurate sometimes. Like I said, he bounces too much in the pocket, doesn't always set his feet. So that's why I said one thing is there's one interception where he kind of leans to his left. He doesn't have a straight stance. He kind of throws it off his back foot a little bit, just doesn't get it to where it needs to be. The wide receiver has his DB beat, but he threw it too inside and now on the outside shoulder like he should have. The level of competition, question mark, it's always something that's going to be brought up. I never, ever, ever use this as an excuse, as a weakness. I'm never going to fault a kid for playing where he's playing, whether it's, a place like Liberty because of, religious reasons, or like BYU, or if you have family ties, or if, you feel like that place was the best place for you to go for education reasons. Like you wanted to graduate, they have a certain degree there you want to get, like kudos to you. I'm never going to fault a kid for, a Josh Allen going to Wyoming, or like I said, Trey going to North Dakota State. Like I'm not going to fault a kid for doing that. Zach Wilson to BYU, same thing. And you can't sit here and say, this is probably the laziest take in all of draft takes, saying so-and-so college doesn't produce quarterbacks. So-and-so college hasn't had a good quarterback since when? Like, was this coach, was this personnel, was everything exactly how it was, say, 10 years ago? No. And you can say that about anything. Like I said, what other quarterback has come out of Wyoming besides Josh Allen? When's the last, Michigan quarterback that was dominant besides like Tom Brady? Like, have they put anyone out since then? No. You can't sit here and say that, especially with all the transfer portal going on now. Like, so many players are just mixing up and going other places now. Coaching, like everything is completely different. You can't sit here and say, I don't want a quarterback from Ohio State. So, like Dwayne Haskins, he was a bust. Is that going to stop you from getting CJ Stroud next year? Absolutely not. It shouldn't. The whole Ohio State can't pump out quarterbacks. It's going to be lazy takes. So I don't look at universities and where they play and who they play as a weakness. I see that as something you should think about. Of course, context. But still, I want to see what he can do on an NFL team going against NFL guys. Liberty's not putting out, no offense to Liberty, they didn't have like an Antonio Gannon-Golden this year or anything like that. They're not putting out many other guys in the draft, if any at all. And he's going against Ole Miss. Syracuse puts out plenty of defensive guys in the draft. Like I said, ULL is going to put some guys in the draft. Army, so on, Coastal Carolina. So I don't fault him for that. And then I said that sometimes his low passes get tipped and intercepted. You see that a couple times. These guys, it happens. It happens in the league now. 6 foot, 6'1". It's going to happen. But there's a couple. There's one interception where he gets picked off by a linebacker. I'm going to show you that it's because of his touch. He like rocketed it when he shouldn't have. So that's another thing that I've noticed from Malik Willis that he really struggles with. He's just trying to show off that arm strength at all times. He doesn't turn it off. Instead of cannon mode, you need to put water gun mode and just kind of just toss it over the top to your tight end who's wide open. So those are the things to look for. So when I'm watching tape, I do my write-up, after watching, like I said, like 8-9 games. I make a list of strengths and weaknesses. And then I really try to watch these games to pull out those things that I see and say, hey, When I say his base isn't always set, he's always like sometimes he's bouncing around. This is an example. This interception right here, this is why this was picked off. He had his guy. He could have easily made that throw, and he does it soon after, the exact throw almost, but his base is completely different. So let's look at the tapes, pull out some of the strengths and weaknesses. I'm always putting notes at the top of the clips and walking you through what I see and what is really going on the play. So let's start with the tapes. All right, first up, we got Liberty versus Middle Tennessee State, one of his 3 interception games. First off is some good from Malik Willis, though. We have a deep throw touchdown here. You can see he takes a snap out of the shotgun, empty back sets. At the 20-yard line, he has his wide receiver. You see the DB's back is facing him at the 15-yard line. He knows the wide receiver has the inside because the DB is not going to have time to turn around. You can see it from this other angle here. Malik does a good job of leading his wide receiver. The DB does not have time to recover from that, and it's an easy touchdown for Liberty. So good by Malik. Now here, one of the 3 interceptions, this one's bad. They got 3 guys at the bottom. Looks like a screen. Fakes it. Looks like number 21 kind of wants to go deep, but the DB around like the 36, 37-yard line is reading Malik Willis's eyes. You can see 21 right at the bottom of the screen there. Doesn't really look like he's expecting it. Maybe you do a pump fake and go deep at that play because the DB is biting. But nonetheless, there's a crazy toe drag interception by the DB there. But you can just tell the wide receiver was not expecting it at all, it looked like. Here, athletic escape off-script plays from Malik Willis. You'll see this all the time. Pressure coming. Whoop. Evades the same guy twice. Then, this is what I love. Throws on the run with the perfect touch here. Rolls out to his right. Drops it. Boom, in between the 2 guys. Not too much touch on this one. This is an instance where the touch is a good thing. Look at this. 1 tackle missed. 2 tackles missed from the same guy. He's running. You have to throw the ball on the run in the NFL. He does a great job here. Now, right here, RPO. Freezes the linebackers. They respect the run. See those 3 linebackers around the 3-yard line? Look at that. They're like, is it a run? Is the running back getting it? Is Malik Willis going to run it again? They all 3 bite and leave the tight end wide open in the end zone. So that's what I'm talking about when I say red zone offense by Malik Willis is going to be a thing of beauty in the NFL. Here we got a lot of movement, so it's an easy run with some speed. Look at this. You have a guy in motion to the left. Running back goes to the right. Malik Willis gets some good blocks on the outside. Boom, he's going to lower his shoulder at the goal line, like I said. I think they rolled him down at the 1 on this play, but nonetheless, they score on the very next play. But that run game is lethal. Here, the pocket moves to the left. He doesn't run, but he just moves it and drops a dime. Watch this. And over 2 guys, exactly where it has to be for his wide receiver. Now, this other angle is what I like the most. Look at this. He sees the pressure, moves to the left, and launches a pass to his wide receiver. Only he can catch it. Look at this. Just backs up a little bit, doesn't freak out, doesn't run, keeps his eyes downfield, and hits the outside shoulder for the wide receiver. This here is where he shows the 0.6 missed tackles per attempt, the most since 2014. 2nd and 10. It's a run play. I want to say it was a draw. Let's take a look at it. Boom. Comes back. Yeet. Goes forward. But first guy's not going to get him. Second guy's not going to get him. Third guy, 4th guy needs to come in and clean it up. First down. Easy run from Malik Willis. Going to run guys over. Here's the second bad interception. This is where I talked about that play with the touch to his tight end. Just, you don't need to rocket that. Let's take a look at the other view on this one. Tight end's open. You just need to drop it over the top. And now this linebacker makes a hellacious grab. But instead of zipping it where it's a low throw it over the top. Don't give them an opportunity. It's very avoidable. All right. 3rd interception of the game here in the 3rd quarter. Does not step into his throw. This is the one I want you to pay attention to. It's a clean pocket. But look at this. He's kind of bouncing around. He doesn't have a solid step in his throw. He's leaning to his left a little bit. He's not set. He has the guy open and just underthrows it. Now we know he can make that play. It's not that he can't throw it that far. I don't think he was set enough on that play. So just remember that play. This year, it's not the smartest play from the 4-yard line, but Malik Willis does some crazy stuff. Takes a snap, rolls to the right. Looks like he's going to find somebody. Nope. Like, Malik, what are you doing, bud? This could be a huge loss in the NFL, or it could be a fumble return for a touchdown in the NFL. Like, this play could go south. But Malik Willis said, you know what? I'm going to make big plays happen. Steps up. Boom. Touchdown. Off script ability. So a lot of good in that play, a lot of bad. Like, the really good wow plays can't happen without some uh-oh moments. And this was one of them. Like this. Boop, boop, boop. And dart. Safe throw. Didn't throw it across the body into the middle of the end zone. Nothing crazy. Loved it. Now, Liberty versus UMass. This is only one play. This is a big time throw. Leads his wide receiver. This is what he should have done in that third interception. Look at this. Steps into his throw. Accurate deep pass. Almost identical, range to the same wide receiver. Look at this. Straight stance. He's not leaning to his left, anything like that. And just launches a bomb. Drops it. In stride. Perfect. Does not get any better than that. Take a look at the other angle and see exactly what I'm talking about. Look, RPO. Draws back. Look at that. Set on his left foot. He's straight up. He's not leaning to his left. Not anything. That is a gorgeous stance. Boom. And that's the kind of pass that's going to happen if he gets that down. And they're going to start working on that right away. I know he's already working on it right now in camps. I'm watching his films and stuff like that. That's something they're doing. Under center and then working on releases like that. Now, of course, this is the big game everyone talks about. Liberty versus Ole Miss, November 6th. This is the competition. Offensive line problem, something I talked about. He just does not have the time of day to make anything happen. He does not have time to let his plays develop at all. And you're going to see that a lot. Now here, I love this play. First, Reed bites the linebacker in the safety. Watch this guy in motion. Looks to his right. Look at that. You have about 3 guys around that 30 to 35, 36-yard line biting down because they think it's going to be a check down. And then all the action happens behind them. The throw lane is open on his second read. That is something I love about Malik Willis. Right here. Offensive line is bad. You just don't need to hold on to the ball too long. This is one of the times I'm like, Malik, you can't be Superman every single play, man. Get rid of it. Instead of cutting back right here, when you have 4 or 5 guys come in, get rid of it. Throw it away. Live another down. Second and 7, third and 7, it's okay. Now right here, another time where he holds the ball too long. Excellent play call. Look at this. Guy in motion. Watch this. Boom. That slant. 81 is wide open. He needs to hit him right this second. But instead, I don't know why. He waits. Boom. Pressure gets there. It's too late to do anything. But 81 was open. It was a great play call. They need to come back to that many times if they didn't this season. Now, this is more of just the offensive line. Who knows what sack this is at this point. There's a couple plays where he just got laid out in 1 or 2 seconds. It's not good. Just wasn't pretty. You could tell there's a big-time difference in talent at Ole Miss. Here, big-time throw in third down. He's got pressure in his face. It's 3rd and 5. RPO, he's got 2 or 3 guys coming towards him. Boom. Hits it. First down. Picks it up. Only where his wide receiver can come back and get it. Not doing anything too risky. Love that throw. Right here. The run lane opens up. Look at this. Pulls it. He knows. Open ground. Look at that. Hesitation. There's that stiff arm. Hit him. Another one. If he had more field, he was gone. But he goes out of bounds. Right here is the hero ball I told you about. Down 17-0. Just trying to do too much. He looks off. Looks like he's trying to, dump it to the 30-yard line there. Safe play. Looks like he has this guy up top, but he does not see that safety around the, 11, 12-yard line coming in. He thinks he has his wide receiver. Safety just bites it, cuts it off. Easy interception for him. That's a play where I don't know if he just didn't read the safety or he was trying to force something. Here, the 6th sack of the first half. The first half. And soon after the 6th sack, there was a 7th sack of the first half. Where it's 2 seconds. I know, Malik, you got to get rid of the ball fast, but good Lord, you need to help him out on these plays. I think total was 9 interceptions on the game, so not good. Here, NFL-style play, moves the pocket, creates more throwing angles here. Love this. Look at that. Just runs out to his left a little bit. He sees the defense respecting his run. Look at that 40-yard line right there. You've got two guys kind of waiting for him to, maybe run the ball. He puts the action behind them, hits the wide receiver in stride, throws it to his outside shoulder, not to the inside shoulder, because that's likely getting picked off in the NFL if you do. Throws it to the outside shoulder. Great play. Look at that. Fakes the run. 33 at the SEC logo is just frozen solid. Then he's like, oh, maybe I have a chance to catch up with Malik. No. Malik Willis on the edge wins every single time, unless you were just an athletic freak to be able to catch that guy. Here, this is what I was talking about. Hugh Freeze's offense, pre-snap communication. He sees something. He's talking to his quarterback. Quarterback's going to talk to his line. But I really like his run vision on this play. Watch this. Running back goes. Looks like it can be a pitch. He's reading two things. He's looking at that linebacker right there, and he's also looking at his left tackle. See how his left tackle has his block to the left side? That's what he wants to do. He's reading those pads on his left tackle and says, I'm going to cut inside because he has the inside advantage, just like a running back does. When a running back's looking for his tunnel, that's what he looks for. Look at this. Linebacker is accounting for the running back. He has to because he's wide open. Look at this. Linebacker's playing twister. Look at that. Left hand on red, and he got left on red. Quick twitch by Malik Willis. This is bonkers. Fakes the handoff, turns around, guy in his face. Oh, my Lord. Skates, sends him to the transfer portal. Just outright disgusting. Man, that's what I love watching from Malik Willis in his run game. This right here, NFL-like throw in the run after this pressure coming at him. Takes a snap. Sees the bodies flying all over the place. All game long. Rolls out. Whoop. Dime. 2nd and 20. No problem. This, the last play from Malik Willis. Terrible decision. Trying to play hero ball. Like I said, you're down 27-14. There's a minute left. Pressure. You're rolling right. There's nothing. You just toss it up. Look at that. There's no one. He has 2 wide receivers, 3 wide receivers maybe, but it's all Miss guys. Just throwing up a prayer. But you saw the difference in talent of Ole Miss and Liberty on that play. So we've watched the tapes on Malik Willis, and I showed you the good and I showed you the bad. And my buddy Nate Coleman, a lot of people know him on Washington Twitter. Highly recommend following Nathan Coleman. One thing he brought up is you can really see an offense molding their scheme and how they run their offense around Malik Willis, similar to like Philadelphia does with Jalen Hurts, and same with Baltimore had to do with Lamar Jackson. I could absolutely see that. But like I said at the beginning of the episode, I really thought about Trey Lance. Does Malik Willis go to a place like Seattle where he, sits behind Russell Wilson, maybe a year or two, who knows if things don't work out with Russell Wilson, learns the offense and then takes over? Or does he come into a spot like Washington? Or does he take over for Pittsburgh and just start out right away? I think he really could start out. Now, like I said, you can't just throw him out there and say, all right, be an NFL quarterback. Like, I want you to go under center and be a pocket passer. You have to use his run game. You have to scheme it up. That has to be part of your offense. That has to be part of your identity. Malik Willis running the ball, but then him also passing the ball. Get him enough weapons. Like I said, I want to see him on a consistent NFL team with even a decent offensive line. Like, of course, you want him to have the best offensive line in the NFL, but give him something. Give him opportunities. Give him that offensive line. Give him some weapons and just let him work. He has so many raw tools still. I think it's safe to say that he might have the highest ceiling of any quarterback in this draft. Have we seen the best Malik Willis? I don't think so. Have we seen the best Kenny Pickett? Possibly. The big jump this year, that's someone I'm going to break out, and break down the tapes and do right up for coming up soon is Kenny Pickett. Did we see the maximum of Kenny Pickett when he finally hit that next step, from his 4 years to finally in 2021? Was that the final Kenny Pickett? Is that his final stage of growing? I don't think we've seen the final stage of Malik Willis. I think there's still more to tap into. And I think that's what really intrigues scouts. And you hear teams talk about him like, oh, but Malik Willis, he has raw. You hear that so many times. He's just a raw athlete. He has all these raw weapons. He has so much things that he can do even better. So I think someone's going to take a swing on him. You have to. because the upside of being, possibly Pro Bowl type guy down the, in the future, it's there. I'm not going to sit here and say draft him. It's a guaranteed hit. Just because, like, every quarterback that's drafted, you've got to put him somewhere, let him learn the offense, but work that offense around their abilities. You can't send him to a place, like I said, just get under center and play quarterback. There's no generic quarterback. Like, he's not a, Mac Jones type. You can't expect him to play like someone like that. Maybe like a Derek Carr even. But I think he's going to be more heavily involved. I could absolutely see more of a Jalen Hurts, play calling, drawing up offense. I loved that analogy of the Philadelphia offense. Now Philadelphia has their own problems. They need wide receivers and stuff like that. They need to build more of a team. But still, I think Malik Willis is a middle to late first round. Some people have him in the second. I just remember beginning of the season, number one was Rattler if he was going to come out. We've seen how that turned out. And then 2 was Sam Howell, and 3 was Malik Willis. And I don't think that ever really changed for me. I think after just watching everything and seeing what he can do, my job is to tell you what he can do and what he, maybe kind of limits him. Not necessarily what he can't do, but, saying, that's asking too much of him if this is what you want him to do. I'm just going to tell you what he can do. And he can do a lot of things. I think you just work on those small things. I would much rather take a guy with a ton of skill set and potential with a few things you need to fix than a guy who has maybe maximized everything he can do in college. He's, tapped out. He's hit his ceiling. But, there's a few things skill set wise you want him to get better at. No. I'd much rather have a Malik Willis over a guy like a Desmond Ridder, even Matt Corral. I hate to say it, but I think, not even just a small frame of a Corral, but I like Malik Willis's playing style much more. And I like the transition to the next level, what we can see. I saw many years of Matt Corral. I saw 2 years of Malik Willis, and I want more. I want more Malik Willis in the NFL with NFL talent. So someone's going to take him because the upside's there. But just like every quarterback in this draft, no one knows how they're going to turn out. Everyone pretty much said, oh, Trevor Lawrence is like the next coming of, Jesus. He's a guaranteed hit in the NFL. Like, he is it. If he doesn't hit, then like nobody's going to hit. And who knows? He might. But it just takes time. You have to think about these things. It takes time. Trevor Lawrence is going to take some time. Zach Wilson's going to take some time. Josh Allen, it took year 3 for him to pop off. If it takes 3 years for Malik Willis to get to a Josh Allen, level of play, that's absolutely worth it to me. So the risk versus reward. I think you take the guy with the skill set and the potential and the ceiling, but then you also have to think about his floor. Like, how bad could it possibly be? Could he be a turnover machine in the NFL? Possibly. I'm not going to sit here and say he's not going to have games where it's 3-4 interceptions, but hey, Trevor Lawrence and Zach Wilson were just doing it. So you can't really just say, that's it. That's the end of the road. You have to have patience with them. You have to work them through a couple things. So I had a good time watching Malik Willis just because he makes watching football so much fun with all the crazy things he does. Looking forward to seeing him at the Senior Bowl. I think this is a big opportunity for every quarterback that's going to the Senior Bowl, which is almost every quarterback minus Matt Corral, like that top 5, top 6 range for the draft. So I think this is a huge opportunity for everybody, not even just on the field, but I want to listen to them, listen to how they think, listen to, what they want to work on, what they notice in their game, what they have been working on since the season ended. April's going to come quick. So I'm looking forward to it. Like I said, I might switch it up for the next one, though. Might go wide receiver, might go Kenny Pickett. We'll see. You just have to subscribe and turn your notifications on to find out who is next. But guys, like I said, I'm bringing y'all all the content possible for the draft write-up. I'm going to be at the Senior Bowl all week long, so expect a video and a write-up every single day with practice, with the game, with interacting with the players, interacting with agents in the stands, GMs. You never know who's going to be there, but I'm going to try to talk to as many players as I can and bring you all the content that y'all want to see. So follow me on Twitter at Josh Taylor CFB. And like I said, my website is in the bio of my Twitter page. So if you want to check out my write-ups, it's there. And I always attach the write-ups in the description of the video. Like I said, subscribe, share to anyone that you want to. But I appreciate y'all tuning in and supporting. And I'll see y'all with another draft breakdown.